Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I know it's 1 after the hour. We'll give it another minute as folks log on. So thank you for your patience. I think we can get started. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. I'll turn it over to our chairs. Today we have Brent Axine chairing our 911 Oversight team, and Allie Edwards in her vice chair role. Stephanie Heiselman could not be here today, so Ms. Edwards is going to serve as chair for the Public Safety Answering Point Managers Group this morning. So good morning, and with that, I'll turn it over to our chairs.
Well, good morning, everybody. We're going to call to order the MAG 911 Oversight Team. This meeting is now called to order.
And good morning, members of the MAG PSAP Managers Group. This meeting is now called to order.
Okay, we'll begin the joint meeting with a roll call of all members of the MAG 911 Oversight Team, followed by the roll call of members of the MAG Public Safety Answering Point Managers Group. Ms. Graver, will you please conduct a roll call of the MAG 911 Oversight Team?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Okay, very good. So this will be a roll call for only the 911 Oversight Team. We're beginning with Avondale PD.
Yes,
Jonathan.
Destin.
No, this is for, are you PSAP manager or 911 Oversight?
Yes.
Okay, you're representing the PSAP manager?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Jonathan Martin, is he online? He's on your 911 Oversight. Okay, we'll move on. Buckeye, Robert Sanders. Chandler PD, Michelle Potts. Brent Axine, Glendale.
Present.
Oh, we got one. Okay, good. Goodyear PD, Santiago Rodriguez. MCSO, Jim Prindeville. Mesa Fire and Medical, Forrest Smith.
Present, thank you.
Thank you, Forrest. Douglas Steele, Peoria PD. Okay. Phoenix Fire, Jeff Scripsima. Phoenix PD, Nicole Dietrich. Scottsdale PD, Karen Sutherland.
I'm present.
Surprise Fire, Cody Worrell. And do we have a Tempe 911 Oversight Team representative? Going back, is there anyone on the 911 Oversight Team that I did not call? I just got a message that Michelle Potts is online. Michelle, is your mic working yet?
Okay,
Yep, there we go.
thank
We
you.
gotcha. All right, Nathan, it appears that I don't think we have quorum on the 911 oversight. We have 4 representatives. Make sure these are who I have as on the call. Michelle Potts, Brent Axon, Forrest Smith, and Karen Sutherland.
Liz, this is Del Webb with Tempe. I'm on for Tanya.
Yeah, that's for the PSAPs, just on the 911 oversight, Bill.
Okay.
Okay. Chair, do I proceed with the PSAPs?
Yes, I would move forward with that.
Okay.
Okay, we will now begin the joint meeting with a roll call of all members of the MAG PSAP managers group. Ms. Graber, will you please conduct the roll call of the MAG
Thank
PSAP
you.
managers group?
Thank you. Apache Junction, Jessica. Arizona DPS, Kara.
It's Jill for DPS.
Oh, thank you. ASU, Trish Price.
Hi, this is ASU.
Thank you. Avondale PD, Angela Destin.
Yes, I'm here on behalf of Angela.
Okay. Buckeye PD, Jim Totora. Fort McDowell PD, Stephanie Beebe. Gilbert PD, Kim Weber.
I'm present, thank you.
Glendale, Loretta.
Loretta's present.
We have a GMR, AMR representative. We'll move on. Goodyear PD, Shauna. David Demers, Luke Air Force Base. MCSO, Jim Stillwell.
Present. Good morning.
Thank you. Mesa Fire, Nicole.
This is
Brad.
Brad. Yeah, this is Brad sitting in for Nicole.
Thanks, Brad. Mesa PD, Lindy.
I'm present.
Thank you. Paradise Valley, Heather.
Good morning, I'm present.
Phoenix Fire, Jim. Phoenix PD, Alley.
Present.
Salt River, Kathy.
Good morning, present.
Oh, thank you. Scottsdale, Casey.
Present.
Surprise, Domela. Tempe PD, Dell.
Present.
Thank you. Tolleson, Amanda.
Present.
Thank you. And Wickenburg, Aaron. Madam Chair, we do have a quorum for the PSAP managers. But is there any 911 oversight team members that have joined the call that did not answer on roll call? All right. I'll turn it over.
So to the chairs, Brent and Ally, maybe prior MAG, we do not have quorum of the 911 oversight team. We are too short on that front. We do have quorum of the PSAP managers group. I would advise for the only action item to be taken is for the minutes. So since we do not have quorum of the oversight team, I would advise skipping that vote by the oversight team for the meeting minutes, focusing on the PSAP managers for that vote, and then proceed the meeting from there. That makes sense.
Yes.
This is Brent Exing. Yeah, it makes sense to me. So shall we move to agenda number 2?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Our next item is called to the audience. MAG provides an opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda or that are on the agenda for discussion and not for action. Members of the public are invited to submit written comments via the MAG website. Any comments received 2 hours prior to the meeting have been shared with the committee members in advance of the meeting for consideration and will be included in the formal meeting minutes. Staff, have you received any online written comments for the call to the audience?
To the chairs, no, we have not received any online comments or any written comments on this item. Just a note to the chairs, since we do not have quorum of the oversight team, we're going to ask Chair Edwards to, in the script, speak on behalf of those notes, which were for Brent Axine. So sorry, Chair Axine, but we're going to have to let Chair Edwards run the meeting from this point forward.
Perfect. I like it.
Okay.
So with that, Chair Edwards, we're on to item 3.
Okay. We will next, the MAG PSAP Managers Group will take action on the March 21st, 2024 meeting minutes. Does any member of the MAG PSAP Managers Group have questions or comments on the minutes? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the March 21st, 2024 MAG PSAP Managers Group meeting minutes?
Lindy with Mesa, I motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion from Lindy with Mesa and a second.
Loretta Hadlock, Glendale PD.
Okay, thank you, Loretta, for the second. Nathan Pryor will now advise us on the procedure for the virtual vote of the MAG PSAP Managers Group. Ms. Graber, will you please conduct a roll call vote of the members of the MAG PSAP Managers Group?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ask for the help and assistance of our PSAP managers members. If you could all turn on your cameras, we will do, hopefully if we can get everyone to turn on their cameras, we can do one voice vote and not have to belabor through an individual roll count vote. So all PSAP managers, please turn on your camera for a few moments. Give everyone time to do that. And to our staff, if you could show the membership so Liz Graber can make sure we're counting everybody on the screen.
Can you you want them to mute the presentation for a moment?
Yes.
Yes. So whoever's staffing the meeting, can you please stop sharing the presentation for a minute and then do a gallery view?
The view has to be done on your end.
Okay. So Liz, you'll have to go up to the top corner and under view, pick a gallery so that you can see everybody. And we'll also look on our end. So
Okay, I'm a gallery.
okay.
So again, if all the PSAP managers could please turn on your camera so we could do a vote for the minutes, we'd appreciate it. So Liz, give you a moment to compare what you see on the screen versus your attendance sheet. Do we have everybody?
There might be a second.
Let me look. There are names on here that I don't recognize, so I'm assuming they are not PSAP manager representatives. They did not answer on the roll call.
So are you ready?
But, all right. Oh, Teresa Scott, hold on, Teresa Scott who is that?
With Avondale.
Oh, okay, thank you. Appears that all the PSAP managers are on camera.
Okay, with that, Madam Chair, you can call the vote.
Will everybody please say, is it yes or to approve?
Correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, if everybody can please say yes to approve the vote to the minutes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Tyler. You can put the presentation back up now.
Okay, we will move on to item number 4. Our next item is the administrative report. Liz Graber, Maricopa Region 911 Administrator, will provide a report on the activities and programs managed by Maricopa Region 911.
Thank you, Ally. It's going to be short and sweet. We have, as we are, the PSAPs are transitioning, our counts go down lower. So as of August 1st, we have 1,171 text messages sent in, so which is an obvious drop. We had 5 sends activation. That is just for August. I'll get you the other ones. And speaking of sends, it is being sunsetted by the vendor on September 30th. If you are due to migrate before then, you won't need to worry about it because you'll be on your rave system. For the PSAPs that migrate after September 30th, the SENS platform will still be available to you because you'll still have our network in there. You'll still have access to the 911 database for your activations. The only thing that, because MR 911 owns all of that information, has the platform, owns the lines and circuits, we're not dependent on the vendor. The only thing you will not have access to is the self-registration for cell phones. So that you're looking at about 40,000 cell phones out of 1.7 million landlines. Also, all PSAPs, double check with your IT departments, make sure the link to the SENS self-registration is removed from your websites. That is not active. It's been sunsetted as well. They'll get an error report. So if you have something with RAVE, replace it. But either way, regardless if you've gone to RAVE or not, you need to remove that to help lessen the confusions with the citizens. And we have been helping with the transitions on moving equipment and shutting things down. And then the team also continues to help with the Phoenix PD and Phoenix fire sites, as they will be the last ones that go on getting their projects, assisting with their projects and getting them ready to make the migration. And that is all I have for my admin report.
Great. Thank you, Liz. Does any member of the committee have questions or comments? Okay, we will proceed to item 5. We will now hear an update from Mr. Greg Denton, ADOA 911 Program Administrator, with an update on the Maricopa Region's transition to state contract service.
Thank you, Ally. Good morning. Appreciate the opportunity to bring an update to you today. If you can go to the next slide. So there are 5 main items that I prepared today. Basically an update with our deployment statewide, especially for Maricopa County. And then I want to talk a little bit about SLAs and improvement that we recently brought forth through AT&T. And then also talk a little bit about trouble tickets and what we're doing on our side to help with that, policy routing function, and then remaining fiscal year 2025 roadmap for us. If you can go to the next slide. So real quick, I'll go through this. We are on target with our plan execution. We had to move some PSAP migrations out a little bit. Luke Air Force Base was one of them, and Maricopa County Sheriff's Office is one of them, but we're still due to be complete by the end of this year, with the exception of Phoenix, Fire, and Police. So right now we're 54% complete with all the last 3 phases of the statewide migration. Phase 5 was 100% complete. That completed in June. And then phase 6, we're about 33%. 3 PSAPs that have recently migrated over for that. And then phase 7 is specific to Phoenix, PD, and Fire. Our next milestone is set for November. That'll be the end of phase 6. And then hopefully somewhere in March, April, we'll have the last city of Phoenix ECC done at 100 West Washington. Next slide, please. Quick look at the map for Maricopa County and the state. You can see in Maricopa County here, everything in green is migrated over. We started with host 5, which is on basically the west side of the valley. Wickenburg is sitting on a different host. They will be transferred over to host 5 within the year. And then we've slowly migrated over to the east side of the valley with Chandler was done, I'm sorry, Gilbert was done some time ago in Scottsdale. Scottsdale's on host 3, but they're going to be moved over to host 4. So basically everybody on the west side of the valley is going to be on host 5 or is on host 5. And then every PSAP on the east side will be on host 4. And if you look at the state, we've completed all of our deployments around the state. I think everybody knows this. Most of this information is in our newsletter that we publish. If you go to the next slide. Real quick look at our schedule. So there's our phases. The ones in gray are complete. Phase 6 we're into right now. Apache Junction was completed on 6/27. ASU was done on 7/10, and Salt River, Pima, Maricopa Indian Community was done on 8/1. And Fort McDowell was done on 8/7. So we have one more this month to complete, Luke Air Force Base, and it's on schedule for deployment. That date is incorrect. They're scheduled for deployment on the 28th of this month. And then following that, we have Tempe to give you the September migrations, Tempe PD on 9/4 and Maricopa County Sheriff's Office on 9/25, which if you remember the map before, that represents the majority of land mass in Maricopa County. Go to the next slide. Let's move to SLA improvements. So in our prior contract with AT&T, the SLA was 2 hours for critical issues. We have fairly recent, I think this was published to the MAG committee, but not all the PSAP. So I just wanted to make sure that we had this information come out to you today in case you weren't aware of it. So the response now for any critical issue is 1 hour or less. And this is the best that's in the state right now the best in the country. We haven't found anybody else that's had a better, a lot of people have 1 hour, but we were able to get AT&T to agree to a 1 hour response for critical issues. And critical issues is basically any time that your PSAP is struggling with taking any calls. There's your stations are down more than 20% of your stations are down. Something that's keeping you from doing normal business is what we consider critical. So I just wanted to bring to attention to with that, there's 3 events that's happened since the inception of our next gen I1 migration specific to AT&T. The first one was on 1/12, and that was a 36-minute event where PRF was executed. So calls were routed to whatever PSAP had, whatever they had for their policy routing function as far as the call route to the next PSAP. And then on 3/9, we had a small one. This just impacted Gila County Sheriff's Office, where there was a Sparklight was one of the third-party providers for AT&T. They had a maintenance event early in the morning and the communication breakdown. So those calls were, that was PRF'd as well. The PSAP executed a forced shutdown and calls were routed to, I believe, PACE and PD. And then the one in the somewhat red. That's the one that I think everybody's more aware of. The 10/12/23 incident that happened for host 2. That was 16-minute outage, true outage. PRF could not be executed. Well, let me back up. PRF was executed, but because of how the host 2 PSAP set up their PRF, for example, Tucson had calls going to Pima County Sheriff's Office. Well, all of host 2 was impacted by this very unique outage. And so calls were lost. So 41 unique calls had taken place. All calls were connected after the outage was done. And so this marks the only outage that we have on record to date for the system, and nothing since then. So my point, I guess, bringing it up is we don't want any outages. We don't want even a 1-minute outage. In the case of the SLA response, 1 hour, all 3 of these events were corrected within almost a half an hour. So just want to make everybody aware of that. We can go to the next slide. I bring this up today just to show that our efforts working with AT&T on trouble tickets, there's a portal out there that's used for the online call-in or online submissions of trouble tickets for PSAPs. What we're working on currently with AT&T is a dashboard for trouble tickets for PSAPs for your review, to see where your summarization of all your tickets. The reason I'm bringing this up today is we wanted to share with you just the fact that we are looking at this, not from the perspective of getting into your business as a PSAP, but more so to getting in the business of working with AT&T to make sure that they're responding to these tickets accordingly. We are looking at average times, we're looking at minimal times, and we're mostly looking at excess times of tickets being left open. Some cases we find that it's because there's an error in closing the ticket, but sometimes we have found also that it is taking that long. Talking with AT&T, it is common to leave tickets open if they're intermittent to see if the existing condition continues. They are looking at that practice as maybe closing the tickets once the correction has been made. And then if an incident pops up again, they will reopen the ticket and link the tickets together. So just want to make everybody aware of that. If we could go to the next slide. So moving to PRF, it's been a big conversation with everybody, and just, this is a responsibility of the PSAPs. It's totally your role and responsibility to decide who you want your calls to route to. And the state recommended that we would look into IGAs with each other, or whatever format of communication that you want to have, to make sure that the other PSAPs are aware of your calls. And that's totally in your wheelhouse, not ours. Just want to make sure that that we're not taking that role and responsibility. It's up to you guys. And then the layers of PRF, host specific for hot seating was required. So I think we've talked about this. Just a reminder that if you're going to select, let's say that you're in Gilbert, and Kim Weber's needs to shut down their site due to some incident, wherever she sends her calls to, that particular PSAP, if it's in host 4, she can go place her people in host 4 and take calls as if they were at their own site. The concern is when you go from one host to another host. And so wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. And then also the PRF triggers. Tim Schaefer, when we did all the migrations, everybody should have had this discussion, and there's documentation that's kept by Comtech, as it's their responsibility for the PRF. The ring time no answer, basically it's the calls are stacked up and they're not able to answer, and everybody has a different time frame set on that. Could be 90 seconds, could be 28 seconds before the call is routed somewhere else. PSAP busy, the force shut down, and then also detected unavailable. If you go to the next slide. Just a quick summary on this. If you look at the top, these are the triggers, and so that gives you an idea of, this is for July. And this information, by the way, is not something we're looking at it from a perspective of systems, making sure that our ComTech system is working correctly and seeing if there's any anomalies or high risk areas that we need to get involved with ComTech to help support the PSAPs. But this PRF is a report that actually is being sent to each PSAP manager today. And we would like to get any feedback from the PSAPs, whether this PRF report is valuable to you or not, and if there's any changes that you would like to see. You can communicate directly with ComTech as well. We just want to try to help and make sure that ComTech is making improvements that you guys need. So if you look at the bottom one, this actually speaks to the bottom chart there, donut, shows the out of July, the alt answered call. So PRFS was executed, and then the alternate route, 304 calls were answered by the alt route, and then 171 hung up. They didn't want to wait, which we know is the worst thing for a 911 call. I'll go to the next slide. So I think this is my last slide. Just a real quick rundown. We're going to complete the next gen 911 statewide migrations. Our hope is by March of 2025, depending on 100 West Washington for City of Phoenix. We also have some host changes I just mentioned earlier. Scottsdale PD host 3 to host 4, so they will join in the East Valley together. That's scheduled for 8/27. Wickenburg is currently on host 3. They're going to move to host 5. We don't have a date for that one yet, but it will be before the end of the year. And then GMR Phoenix host 4 to host 5. Also no date at this time, but before the end of the year. Another thing we're going to keep working on for us and for you is the system operations metric review, continuous improvement and development. We are looking to try to get more measurements and metrics out of our call handling service providers, mostly AT&T and also Solacom with ComTech, and also ComTech as our next gen core service provider for the state. Currently, we're rebuilding our state 911 office. We're down to 3 people. Brooke Serpa has moved to from a GIS coordinator to take the position of a GIS systems manager for state 911 office. And we're looking to replace her position as well as my position that I vacated. So we'd look to get that done before the end of the year as well. One additional item, the grant process evaluation and criteria review. We're looking into establishing maybe a different way of going about this starting next fiscal year in terms of an IGA. We know what the current charges are. We know what the current monthly routine costs are for the system. We're looking into moving that into an IGA and then simplifying that process for the PSAPs and the state, and also looking at improving the grant process for available funds after the operational costs are identified, having the NOFA come out, notice of funding come out, and then also establishing a much more detailed criteria on evaluation and selection of future grants. That process is going to start in November, actually in October, I'm sorry, for a start replanning of improvements for that process. And then the last couple, rapid deploy Eclipse data analytics position use summary. So there's been a lot of discussion on how the state reviews position requests from PSAPs. And we are looking into an option that rapid deploy is going to be able to create to help with this. And it has to do with the machine or position usage, time on, time off. So we can actually have good data analytics for everyone to look at. And then the last one is the Rave emergency alert options. I think Gerald's communicated this out to everybody. This is we have up to 81 licenses for this. Right now, we're currently, I think, around the 58 mark, 59 mark. And so we still have some licenses available. If Rave is something that's going to be of interest to you, please let us know so we can get you opted in and follow the process to have that working for you. I believe that's everything I have, and I don't know if there's time or if you want Nathan, but or Allie, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. Are there any questions or comments from members of the committee?
Jim Stillwell, MCSO, with a question.
Go ahead, Jim.
Greg, on your slide that showed the number of PRF conditions that have occurred. The PSAP busy was, I believe, roughly around 80 occurrences. When that's happening, is your office or is anybody at those agencies looking at potentially adding additional trunks in to lower those amounts of PSAP busies?
So it's a good question. We are not looking at that, Jim, but that is something that I think each PSAP could look at. Part of the reason why we're giving that PRF report to PSAP leadership is to evaluate on multiple levels as far as if there's any improvements can be done. We stand ready to help and work with you, but we're not looking at that individually. We believe that's something that each PSAP would need to do themselves.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Greg, this is Loretta Hadlock. You said that document was being shared with the managers. I haven't seen it as of yet. Also, I have another question on the policy routing. Can you send us which agencies are on which host? I know that was a discussion we had when we first went live to find out who we could reroute our calls to, should we have the same incident that they just had where they lost those 41 unique calls.
Yeah, good points, Loretta. We are working on something, Brooke from our team is working on something that, a graphic that will give you a quick reference. Assuming there's no negative feedback from anybody, we were talking about putting that on our website so you could access it to see what the current PRF selections are. Would like to hear back from anybody if that's not a good thing. If not, if we can actually send you what we have as a separate document so people would be aware of who the backups are, so everybody's aware. If that's what your question is, we can certainly do that.
Yeah, especially for those agencies that are going to be going live. I can go in and update ours. I know we have Scottsdale as an additional backup, but that at least that's in the East Valley. But I want to make sure that we have ourselves taken care of, or we're not reselecting anybody in the host in the West Valley for our that's on our same host, and that we lose those calls.
Yeah, that's a good point. And so one of the things that we had actually mentioned and during these meetings is just what you mentioned there is if you're a West Valley, for example, Glendale, and you pick Goodyear and you pick Buckeye and Peoria, they're all in the same host. And so you might, as a fourth or fifth choice, because you can make as many selections as you want, but we know that typically 911 people, at least in my experience so far, after about 90 seconds, they get real antsy and hang up and call again because they think something's wrong with the system. I don't know what your guys' experience has been, but if you put a number 4, number 5 slot as another host, for example, for Glendale, say you picked, I don't know, I'm just going to throw it out there, Tempe, which geographically doesn't make any sense, but as a safety valve, at least those calls would go to them and not be answered.
Yeah, that would be helpful so we can go and update our information. I know Karen did a big spill on hers, but we didn't have that availability when we went live, so I'd appreciate it.
So there's two things you need, that and also the PRF report going to you as well, correct?
Yeah, that would be nice. Thank you.
You bet.
Karen, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
You can disregard. I think that Loretta covered what I was going to say.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments?
Del Webb Tempe with a question.
Go ahead, Del.
For Greg, so is there any, how we talked about host 3 and host 4 and you threw out the Glendale Tempe hypothetical. So West Valley's on host 4, East Valley's on host 3. Is there any thought to maybe mixing those up and intermingling the hosts so that East Side might be supported on host 3 and 4, like leapfrogging agencies?
Yeah, that's a good question. And actually, West Valley is on host 5 and East Valley is on host 4.
Okay.
And so your question is, can you leapfrog or intermingle them? So there is a process, or let's say a process. It is a process. There is an option, and we're having AT&T look into it. It's a very expensive option, but it's basically the servers. So AT&T has host 5, right? And host 5, there's 2 actually host 5. There's one in LA at their data center, AT&T's data center, and one in Phoenix, and they work in tandem. And AT&T is actually a primary coming out of Phoenix, and if something happens wrong with the primary in Phoenix, then they use the LA site. Host 5, all these hosts are built not to maximum, but they're built to at least a 75% usage. To do what you're saying, they would have to put in more hosts. And so they'd have to have additional hosts to have that intermingling. So for example, if you wanted, if let's say Chandler wanted to have ability to be seen at host 5 as well, just like host 4, this is what I'm being told from AT&T would need to happen. So we're asking them to provide a document that would outline this from a technical purview and also from a cost purview. We don't have that in our hands yet, but we are looking into it.
So are you saying that there'd be a host 4 and host 5 at a single PSAP? So 2 host options?
No, the hosts are actually at the data centers.
Okay.
All hosts are at the data centers. The exception of that is Phoenix. They're going to have on-premise solutions due to their unique environment, but everybody else is hosted. And so what I'm saying is at the host sites, which is LA and Phoenix, we would increase in your scenario, there would be an increase in hosts to have cross support. I don't know a lot more than that right now because we're just scratching the surface. That's why we're waiting to hear back from AT&T to see what they can do for us.
Okay. I guess like what I was saying, and maybe you're saying it, I'm just not understanding. So like, let's say Tempe gets put on host 5 and Scottsdale is on host 4. So we're geographically close, but if we have that issue where the host is down, one of our failovers could go to a different host.
That's what that we are saying the same thing. That
Okay.
is what we're looking into.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you again, Greg. This item is on our agenda for information and discussion. We will proceed to item 6. This is an opportunity for members of the MAG PSAP Managers Group to request topics or issues of interest they would like to have considered for discussion at a future meeting. Are there any requests for future agenda items from members of the MAG PSAP Managers Group? Okay, with no requests, we will proceed to item 7. This is an opportunity for members of the MAG PSAP Managers Group to present a summary of current events. The committee is not allowed to propose, discuss, deliberate, or take action at the meeting or on any matter in the summary, unless the specific matter is noticed for legal action. Are there any additional comments from the members of the MAG PSAP Managers Group? Okay, hearing no comments, this meeting is adjourned.